Welcome back to Rocket and Rayguns 2016. We've got lots of great big games to talk about in our shooter category today. A lot of people would say that this is the year of the shooter. And for Best Shooter, we have Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, Battlefield 1, Titanfall 2, Overwatch, Doom, and Gears of War 4. Those are all just juggernaut franchises, massive titles.
Remastered? Malarkey.
All right, Jose Sanchez, since you spoke up first, you get to choose out of that 6. Good luck with that, buddy, because those are 6 great games.
Yeah, I mean, God, man. The year of the shooter, indeed. There was so much hype around all of these games.
Yeah.
I mean, we're finally getting like a proper Gears built for Xbox One, and that game was just, the story in that game is probably one of my favorite Gears stories that I've played, and I love me some Gears of War. COD, there was a lot of positive, negative things about Call of Duty this year. People were losing their fucking minds on the internet and just but the game itself wasn't bad. I mean, a lot of people, I don't know why people were hating on the fact that it was in space.
Yeah.
I get it. I mean, people want that boots on the ground combat, which we got in Battlefield 1, which everybody, you know, there was a whole lot of positivity for that game. That game came out, and it just, I mean, it's one of the best looking shooters that I've ever seen. Doom, can't even forget about Doom. Doom is such a good game, and I don't think a lot of people like took notice of that. And then you have, I mean, the beast that is Overwatch that just completely took over. I mean, that game is just, I blew my mind about how well that game did right out of the get-go, and it just kept going, and now it's like one of the top esports games to watch. But my favorite shooter of the year was Titanfall 2. That is such a good game. I mean, when I'm looking for a shooter to just jump in and shoot things and have Titans fall from the sky and smash people and just go on streaks, it's a game where it's a shooter's game that makes people who aren't maybe the best at shooters, it gives you a little, you know, you can play the attrition mode and just kill robots as well as enemies, and makes you feel like you're doing something for the team, when in a lot of the times it's just sitting there and you're just like adding the death count to your team and not really helping at all. And that's Titanfall, man, such a great game.
I fully agree with you. Titanfall blew me away this year. I really, really had a good time. But all 6 of these have so much virtue. Steve Tilley, tell us what your favorite was.
Yeah, man, this is in a less stacked year, any one of these games could have won Shooter of the Year.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think Titanfall 2 was really the one that blew me away this year. I mean, they promised a single-player campaign, and I think a lot of us probably thought, okay, well, we'll see what you got. And man, there were moments when I was like,
yeah.
BT,
yeah,
buddy, it's gonna be okay. I think it was such a great story, just a great way of fleshing out this really great universe. I mean, the Titanfall universe.
Hold on, so that so Dragon Cancer does nothing for you, but then you play
no, Dave,
the campaign of Titanfall 2, and BT's in jeopardy, tears. And you're tearing up?
I shed tears multiple times about Dragon Cancer. I have no that I'm aware of. But no, I think Respawn really killed it with Titanfall 2, and the multiplayer is just, you know, it's as slick as it was in Titanfall 1 with all the added goodness. And but that campaign just, I think it came out of nowhere and caught everyone by surprise. Like one of the best sort of sci-fi shooter stories that we've seen.
Yeah.
So Titanfall 2 has got my vote.
That's a great vote. Ben Silverman, are you on line with these guys?
What I look for in a shooter nowadays is something that really feeds both sides of the things that I like to do in a video game. One of those is playing alone and playing quietly on my couch and having my experience with it. And then one of those is getting out there with other people and shooting shit. Yeah. Overwatch, as brilliant as that game is a multiplayer game, and it is staggeringly brilliant. And you can't discredit Blizzard's ability to take a formula that isn't that new, a hero-based online shooter. We have seen those before, but just infuse it with this magic and this depth. So I feel like Overwatch did multiplayer better than anybody, but there wasn't that single-player offline component. Battlefield did both very, very well, but I felt like it was a little bit of a known quantity. I know what I'm going to get with an online Battlefield game. It didn't capture me like Titanfall 2. And what captured me with Titanfall 2 wasn't just the relationship I developed with this giant robot. And I agree with what Steve said about the lore, fleshing out the lore that was missing in the first game. It actually gave you a reason to connect with a mech, finally. It was how inventive and creative these levels are. Yeah. This is some of the most incredible level design, and just out of left field, like every level you get to in that game is just a totally new thing. And that is impossible.
It's Valve caliber, isn't it?
It's complete. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
This reminds me in a lot of ways of what Valve did with Half-Life 2 in terms of how that game reinvigorated the single player experience. I don't know how you create a solo shooter after Titanfall 2 and not want to steal stuff from it, because this to me was groundbreaking single player game design out of a sequel that got fucked by its release schedule. Nobody played it. It got squashed in between Battlefield and Call of Duty. This is an underserved game. This is a game that deserved better from EA in its release. And I think it's the best shooter of the year. It gets my vote.
It gets my vote too. And this is one of a handful of unanimous votes that we've got in the Rocket and Rayguns this year. But you guys brought up all fantastic points on all of these games. The one thing that I will say about Titanfall 2 and Respawn specifically is I have now moved beyond feeling remorse for the fact that this didn't do well enough, that it doesn't look likely that we're going to get more Titanfall. But the fact that they are now working on Star Wars, I've gone from remorse to just full-on excitement that a company of this caliber is going to be building Star Wars action games for us. Holy crap, we're probably going to get the best Star Wars experience we've ever had.
Trust me.
Yes, Respawn gets one of these beautiful babies. It is an incredible game. Congratulations, a unanimous vote for Titanfall 2, but, get that for sure. If you haven't got it, you're missing the boat on that incredible game. But honestly, all 5 of the other contenders are worth your dough as well. Great year for shooters. And stick around, we've got a lot more Rocket and Rayguns to give away. Don't go away.